What is going on, you guys? My name is Rayge, and we are back today with an exciting 2023 overview video here of all the significant updates to Marvel Strike Force in the given year. But as well, I always like doing these kind of videos because it's a great moment to have this reflection, to take a step back and, really accumulate all the updates and changes that have happened, whether it's new characters and teams, which I will be going over, but as well what we can look forward to given the amount of information that we have now that 2023 has come to a wrap. And it was a very exciting year at that, especially as you can see here. This was the announcement of Apocalypse, his release into the game, but as well as Dark Dimension 6 bringing to us the very powerful Super Scroll. But where does this lie for the future Horsemen? That's definitely going to be up for discussion for sure. Now, I wanted to start this conversation here and this reflection, guys, with the team releases, right? Because I think it's really important to take a step back and understand, the number of teams that have come about in the year, but as well where they reside in terms of the game mode. So we do have a little bit of insight on what can potentially happen in 2024, as well as where the developers' focus is, right? We started off the year, if you recall, we started off the year still utilizing many of the legendary horsemen in the arena setting, and then finally when the Secret Defenders came out, they are still the current meta right now in arena, but now it's some variant of their team, right? Whether you're using Apocalypse combined with Super Scroll or maybe even Quicksilver, all of them are very viable options. However, it was nice to see that the Apocalypse Hold variant, which was a mixture of Dark Hold with Apocalypse, plus minus some characters here and there, did hold true until this Secret Defenders meta came and shook things up. And that was pretty much in the second quarter of the year. So going forward, guys, for the arena setting, we probably will see something similar. We'll see the introduction of 1 or 2 arena teams that's going to shake things up. We typically see this happen every 6 months to a year, hence our focus in investing in arena teams, because this is one of the only game modes that can earn power cores per day, and it's very important to build that up, especially with it being a crucial resource in the game for refreshing energy. We also now see the prominence of where the other focus lies, which you can see here, the dominance coming from both War and Raid teams, right? We saw Nowhere, Infestation, New Avengers, and as well as a very sizable Sinister Six rework. The reason I have these check marks is, in my honest opinion, these are the teams that are still somewhat relevant in the meta. So obviously Nowhere, New Avengers, and Sinister Six stand out. Nowhere, unfortunately, really only being a War team. I would say New Avengers and Sinister Six still have value outside of War, and then we don't really have anything to say about Infestation because they're really meant for defense, and there are definitely some workarounds to get through them, but you definitely don't need them. They're more of a luxury. Raids is where it got really interesting because I think most of us can agree that we did not expect 2023 to see this many changes in the Raid teams, but as well as how short-sighted and how short-lived many of these teams were. If you recall, Bionic Avengers wasn't there for this long, right? And then shortly after, we have this new Pegasus team that really shook up the meta for the tech nodes anyways. But we started the year with Rebirth partially, kind of similar to how we're seeing the Extreme X-Men right now getting released. Then we saw the introduction of Invaders, Bifrost, and Pegasus, who both remain actually still really relevant right now, especially the new Incursion 2 raids. And then we had the release here of the Extreme X-Men partially, just because we still are waiting for Sunspot at the time of recording. But now we at least have Forge introduced into the game if you are spending or using power cores for his unlock. But he is going to be featured in January 2024. So that's why this is a partial release here. And then the only 2 Crucible teams that were specifically tailored was Masters of Evil and Superior 6. And both of them being very relevant right now. So obviously, like I said before, War and Raids received the most attention. I'm very curious if in the new year this is going to be something they want to shift. Maybe they want to add more Crucible teams. Maybe with the introduction of a potential X-Men rework, that's going to shake things up in the War meta, or even add some more value for Crucible, because we know with Unlimited X-Men, they're obviously a Crucible team as well. So definitely some options there for sure, but I think definitely something we can consider is that Rebirth and Invaders are on the way out. Rebirth, we already caught, the slight little leaks there that the Hive Mind team is likely going to replace the Bio Nodes. So we'll see when that information comes about, probably in the first quarter of the year. And then with Invaders, they're still getting the job done with revives and coring in the current Incursion 2 raids, but they're just not built for future raids, right? So that's something you may want to consider on holding back on investing. If you already have them built up, well, you're still going to get value because it doesn't look like there's going to be a new skill team coming anytime soon. However, I caution you on balancing the resources and how much you want to invest in invaders. But Bifrost and Pegasus are still looking pretty good. And then we know that the Extreme X-Men team is supposed to solve the mutant node. So we haven't really seen that yet confirmed because we still need the 5th and final member be added. So that way we can test it out. But yeah, what a sizable year it has been for team releases, guys. You know, it was very, very awesome to see these number of reworks and changes. But I think most notably, Sinister 6 saw a lot of love because with them and the addition of Superior 6, they really did shake up the meta with all the reworks that have happened to the past characters that players may have potentially have already invested in the past, which is great. Now, let's pivot a little bit to the character releases because now that we moved on from teams, character releases wise, these were some of the best characters we have ever seen in the game come about. So we started the year very, very strong with Kang, and who is currently sitting at number 3. And what I mean by that is he's likely slotted in as the 3rd best character in the game, just given his plug and play value, but the amount of impact he can bring to every game mode, I think it goes without saying. You know, he's just one of those must build characters. Especially if you guys were starting off in Doom raids and trying to get through the first incursion. He was a slotting character up until Pegasus actually was released, but he's basically a Dark Dimension 6 lock, and he used in all game modes, including War and Crucible. So I think there's immense value for having a character like Kang, especially given his kit utility, and there's even value in Arena. We also saw the very, very noteworthy release here of Apocalypse, which many folks dub as Dark Dimension 5.5. Just because of the fact that, you know, we didn't really get that in between. So it's a segue to Dark Dimension 6, but you can obviously unlock Super Scroll before Apocalypse as well. It's not a required, but he does provide a lot of value if you're going through Dark Dimension, especially since his kit resets every time he falls. But yes, Apocalypse is slotted as the 2nd best character in the game right now, especially if you have the fully unlocked big Apocalypse version. However, we don't have any line of sight on how the legendary scourges are, how these future horsemen are going to be released. So if you are folks that joined the game either in the last quarter here or in the previous 6 months, it's going to be very, very difficult to get shards of the horsemen because that information has not yet been released. If you've been playing longer than a year, then you likely will have all the horsemen unlocked, so you'll have a decent shot at getting Apocalypse. And really then at that point, the fully upgraded is just the building of resources, making sure you have all 23 characters at gear 17 at level 90. So I mean, I think that's one of the biggest bottlenecks with the ISO 8 T2 level 5, which everyone is trying to build up as well if you don't have those ISO blues. And then guys, last but not least, most powerful character in the game, hands down, Super Scroll. I mean, the amount of value he has, like, you feel his impact the moment he's added into your account, and every game mode that you play in respectfully will get better. He's just one of those revolutionary meta changing characters, and yeah, it's amazing to see that addition into the game and how he has that unique synergy. If you build up 2 heroes and 2 villains next to him, it really does unlock his full potential. So I think it's just a cool mechanic that they added, but love what they've done with this kit. I love the plug and play value, and again, without a shred of doubt, the best character in the game that we've seen in quite some time. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they're gonna measure up to this, but as well as topple the impact of what Super Scroll has brought to the game and the meta, especially if you guys are facing them against, you know, in the Crucible setting or even in Arena. Absolutely savage. Now, guys, having said that too, some other notable tunes that we saw. There were 3 legendary releases, right? We had Nova, that's featuring in more of his war setting with the Nova team. We thought we needed this for the Black Cat legendary event because for her, you do require, it did require either the Nova team or Sinister 6, but after the Sinister 6 rework, my goodness, there's just more options now, and you may not even need the Nova team to unlock Black Cat. But Nova, in my honest opinion, is still a pretty decent character. I brought him into Dark Dimension 6. I thought he had really good value, his supportive capabilities. However, out of the 3 tunes that we have here with Nova, Black Cat, and Green Goblin Classic, I would say Nova is definitely on the lower end. Whereas Black Cat and Green Goblin Classic, they're going to have more staying value because of their multiple usage, right? Even if you're not going to be using Black Cat in the arena setting, once that changes, she's just all around such a good kit, and her Secret Defenders are easily a top 3 team in the game. You know, it goes without saying they're the best of the best right now. So I love how they released a very powerful team, but also they thrive in the arena meta. And her legendary event has come out a few times now, which is great to see. Green Goblin Classic, I think out of all of them, he's probably the second best because Black Cat definitely topples the other two here. But Green Goblin Classic, he's a great Dark Dimension option now, having value both in Crucible and the War. So you're going to get a lot of player versus player value out of Green Goblin Classic. But yeah, he's a great addition to the game. His Superior 6 are, again, a top 3, top 5 team in the game now with the recent rework. And it's amazing to see this value, but we also saw more and more character shards getting released for newer characters now in the way of the Ultra Store and their addition into the bumps more recently than ever before. So all in all, it's been a very, very strong year, guys, for team releases and character releases, because some of these characters that we've seen are the best of the best, and some of these legendary tunes, including Black Cat and Green Goblin Classic, not only are they affordable to bring up into higher gear tier levels, but as well, they're some of the best legendaries in the game. So it's great to see that value. That newer is obviously better, and more of these characters are just honestly some of the best that we're getting access to. And it's great, especially if you're a newer player right now and seeing these new events. This is where you want to be. So guys, what can we expect going forward? I think the 3 to 4 legendary characters a year is still going to hold true. I think in 2022, it was kind of an anomaly because we saw with all the horsemen, they had to set that up. But I mean, typically the average has always been about 3 to 4 legendary. So I can't see that changing. And in the future here, based on the trend we're seeing, guys, we're getting better and better tunes with each update, with each release. I expect that trend to continue. So as good as Kang and Apocalypse, Super Scroll, and the other legendary tunes that were released this year, I'm foreseeing them to have better and better characters, because that seems to be the trend. And honestly, some of these characters are just amazing to get access to, but remember, usually they're pretty difficult to unlock unless they're a legendary tune event that we've seen with these trial events. I'm a fan of it. I hope they continue to do that, because I do think it's fair. And you know, folks like myself, being free to play, we can choose how high we want to invest in certain characters at certain team levels and decide which difficulty we want to be attempting, and that way that's going to translate to the shard level that will get paid out. So guys, fan favorites. What was your favorite? I want to talk about the game modes here, but I think the big one here, goes without saying, was the Sinister Six rework. We need more of these types of reworks. We've already caught wind that the more X-Men characters are coming down the grapevine in terms of their reworks. Hopefully they do something similar, because we have never felt this kind of an impact with a rework before, where it's impacted multiple game modes, including Dark Dimension, which was not the intention, but War and Crucible were hugely felt, and even having some viability in Arena, depending on where you are in the game compared to the other competitors. But this was huge. We need to see more of this, but obviously with the size of this rework, it takes a lot of time as well, so definitely understand that from a player and community standpoint, that, you know, hopefully they're not rushing changes. We want them to take their time to make these quality changes, because then the community does feel this impact, and it's largely positive. We also saw that arena-based events were a huge hit. You know, most recently, character releases in Lizard, Kraven, we had Iron Man, Infinity War, and Robbie Reyes himself. It was a huge hit, because it's kind of a nice break from, you know, having to be too active, especially if you're in already a comfortable arena ranking. You're going to be getting shards per day, essentially guaranteed through the orbs that they grant, and then you basically just open it. And we saw the points just accumulate over that 6 or 7 day period that the event was live for. So super free to play friendly, and usually it was the top 250, top 500 that got a decent ranking as well. So I think that's hugely favorable for those that are active and wanting just to get shards and unlock. And as well, there didn't need to be math involved. You know, they were just getting shards per day through the orbs. I think they need to keep these events up, because not only were they successful, players were a huge fan of it, and as well, they're easy to maintain because you're not involved in complicated math. Just granting a certain milestone or shard level based on the points given, I think that's a nice reprieve from the multiple milestones that could be so convoluted into another milestone. So I think they need to keep this up. It was huge for the community, and everyone enjoyed a nice peace of mind. We saw that with a game mode like Sword Satellite. It was super fun to theorycraft and to see how high you can go, but as well giving us that first opportunity here for the diamond unlocks, right? So hopefully they do things similar. I know the escape from Killed is gonna be something in that nature, but hopefully they bring back some of these game modes that they've actually already developed and introduced. Hopefully it's not a one and done, because when your community enjoys it and appreciates it, it's not just about the rewards, but it was a fun game mode to theorycraft and see which teams could and could not work. And the fact that you can only try once gave you that kind of sense of devastation that you need to be correct about doing this, otherwise you're going to pay the price. And I think that's a really nice way to add that little bit of excitement into the game, especially when many of the game modes can be repetitive, right? And then lastly, guys, we saw some really big feedback from Cosmic Crucible, so I'm glad they were able to follow up on that, but still needs work, you know. They wanted to create more opportunities for theory crafting, and they did that with some of the rooms. But now that we're getting, neck and neck deep and closer to the end of the season, we see that there's still repetitive teams being used in the same rooms, and not a lot of room for that theory crafting. So they've done a good job in terms of the right step, but they need to keep this up, and I think they're on the right track for sure. But yeah, that's the overview, guys. I think definitely a fruitful year for sure, given the number of updates that we've had. But hopefully they keep this up. I'm always excited to see the new character releases, because, like I said, they're some of the best in the game, and really exciting animations for sure as well to enjoy, and obviously go deeper into your progression into the game. But let me know what you guys want to see more of, characters, teams. But it's looking like a fruitful 2024 year. I hope they can continue this path, because it's been a very exciting year and some really great positive change for the community. I hope they keep this up, because we all really appreciate it as well. But let me know what you guys want to see change. Let me know if you agree or disagree with some of these updates. But yeah, I appreciate your guys' time as always. That's your 2023 overview. Thank you for all your support, and I appreciate you guys following along. I'll catch you guys in the next one.